Hi, hope you're having a great day. You're watching JG Entertainment, and for this video, I'll be covering the box office of this past weekend, where I covered the debut of or the opening weekend of Jackass Forever and Moonfall, as well as Spider-Man No Way Home's Holds, Screams, and Sing 2s, because they're still going on really strong. And I'll cover why Jackass Forever was such a huge hit and why Moonfall was a big flop, as well as the controversy between the director of Moonfall and Marvel. I'm also going to be covering that. So it's going to be a really interesting and informative video that I definitely you're going to enjoy. But before I get started, I just make sure to leave a like if you end up finding it informative or enjoyable. It will be very helpful, so please leave a like. As well, subscribe for a lot of other content. Do box office coverages all the time, so you can check out my video on January's and December's and all type of stuff. You can check out a bunch of videos on box office breakdowns. I definitely you'll enjoy that. And lastly, make sure to comment down below if you saw any movie this weekend. I'm definitely very curious, and if you did you enjoy it, and which movie was it? I'm definitely curious. So tell me that down in the comments. Okay, let's get started. Alright, so we're going to start with the first movie, and that is going to be Jackass Forever. And Jackass Forever debuted at #1 this weekend with $23.1 million, which is actually really good. It's still like towards the lower end of the Jackass franchise, just above the first one, but it's still really good. It's still a really solid number. 25% of the audience was 35 and older, while 67% of the audience was between 18 and 34, which is actually quite surprising and truly incredible, because the franchise is already a really old franchise. So it was expected this movie was going to target a bunch of older moviegoers, but instead it actually ended up surprisingly getting a bunch of young audiences, which is actually really good. It's skewed young, kind of playing into the TikTok generation, with the movie getting promoted a lot in TikTok, because it's about these challenges that you have to do for money. And it honestly, the TikTok definitely helped, because it has like that TikTok type of environment of like, oh, challenge, if you do it you get this money. And it's something that has been very popular in this generation, and you can see that in the box office numbers, where it definitely skewed young, and it's doing amazing. And that's great. That just shows that for you to have a box office hit, you have to skew young at least right now. Older moviegoers aren't going that much to the movies, as we're going to touch on in a little bit. So you got to start skewing younger. You got to start getting that younger audience into play. That's what superhero movies do so well, because the younger audience is definitely very involved in them, and they go see the movies over and over. So that's definitely why those movies do so good. And I definitely think that if you skew young, you're going to get a box office hit like this movie was. It's a box office hit, or at least judging by its opening weekend, and it's because it played into the younger audience. It really promoted itself a lot in TikTok, like I said, obviously playing to the TikTok trends and everything. So I think it was like perfect for the era, as well as there was also a lot of marketing going on the WWE, where a bunch of the cast members and the director kept going there and trying to skew younger viewers to go see the new installment of the franchise. So it was definitely very good marketing from their part to try that to get that audience, instead of trying to market to the older audience. No, it also tried to get to the other audience that hasn't been familiar with this franchise, because the last movie came out like 10 years ago, which is insane. So there's a lot of people that haven't seen the past movies, including myself, that found out about this movie, and it was because thanks to the marketing that they had. It was great marketing, honestly, really great marketing, and really, like I said, played into the times with the trends and everything. This is a huge win for the movie, because the budget of the movie is just $10 million, meaning that the movie will be very profitable, with a similar situation where Scream is, where the movie brought back an old franchise, with a low budget that got multiplied immediately. So definitely you can see that this is kind of starting to become a new trend, where maybe you might bring in old franchises, but with a low budget, not high budget movies, but with lower budgets, like 10, 20, maybe $30 million. I think that's a very nice low budget that you can easily multiply that money. And if it's a box office flop, then it won't hurt that much. I think you're going to start to see that trend a lot. This movie, of course, was a huge hit. $23.1 million in its first weekend with a $10 million budget. It's just insane. So everybody doubled its budget, which is crazy. Internationally, the movie made $5.2 million. Obviously, it's very low, but then again, this franchise has never been much of an international appeal franchise, so that was as expected. And this leaves the movie with a total box office of $28.4 million. So this is definitely a very interesting breakdown to see. It has a good box office, already multiplied its budget. Like I said, it's going to start a new trend between this and Scream. It's going to start a new trend, and it gives us a couple lessons. Like I said, skew younger, not older. I hope every movie can learn that from now, because the previous box office flops has been movies like The Last Duel, which also really tried to skew older and really failed, because they didn't appeal to the younger generation. So as you can see, you don't fight the younger generation. You have to try to appeal to it. You know what I mean? So that they can go see your movie. This leads us right into our next conversation with Moonfall. And Moonfall was a complete box office flop, like a complete box office disaster, just like the movie's a disaster movie. Well, this movie was definitely a disaster at the box office. It opened with $9.8 million when it has a $146 million budget, which is just insane. $9.8 million opening weekend when the budget of $146 million. That's terrible. That's really, really bad. That's so bad. The audience definitely did not seem to enjoy that, as it had a C plus, and this is honestly very unexpected. Usually, disaster movies do really bad with critics, but usually the audience ends up enjoying it, and that's why they usually end up making some money. This definitely was not the case. Honestly, it's definitely did not enjoy the movie, because a C plus in audience score is terrible. It's really, really bad. It's really bad. Whenever you're at a B, it's already kind of bad. So the fact that you have a C plus, it's really, really bad. So that's not good at all. And I'm gonna start going to the demographics here. 70% of the audience was over 25 years old. So as you can see, it's skewed older by a lot. 75% is a lot. And like I said, that is not good. It's definitely not good. You have to start screening to the younger audience if you want to have a box office hit. If not, you're gonna fail at the movies. And you can see that here. This was definitely a huge box office flop. And part of this is because Roland Emmerich, the director of this movie, started attacking some franchises that younger viewers watch. He trashed Marvel, DC, and Star Wars, saying that they're ruining the market, causing everyone to not try anything original. Which is, first of all, ironic, because he's doing a disaster movie, and he's been doing disaster movies all the time, from this one to 2012 to Independence Day, and honestly this kind of looks exactly the same from Independence Day, judging by the trailers, and just the worst version. So it doesn't look original to start things off, so that's the first thing, kind of hypocrisy here. But also the fact that he's trashing franchises that people love, especially younger viewers, is definitely not gonna help his box office. If anything, it's just gonna hurt it even more, because he's putting an audience against it that definitely shouldn't be going against it. If not, he should be encouraging these viewers to, oh yeah, please go see my movie. He should be like, oh, if you like this movie, you might like this movie. No, don't trash it. You should be playing into it. You know what I mean? It's like your marketing. And maybe here we knew that this movie was going to flop, which is why I started blaming them. But it's just not a good. First of all, it's not good sportsmanship. It's really bad whenever you trash other people's work. And also, it's just, you can't. You're skewing away your audience to be older, and you're pushing away all your younger viewers, which, as you can see, definitely hurt its box office. And these comments will definitely keep hurting the box office as it goes forward, because it's definitely going to be a huge. It's definitely going to keep being a huge flop, at least for right now. Usually, these movies have been doing terrible domestically since pre-pandemic. Geostorm was an example and that type of stuff. However, a lot of these movies do a lot of money overseas. However, this movie has not opened overseas yet, so we'll have to see next weekend where the box office overseas lands. But with these audience scores, with these reviews, and with these headlines, I don't think it's gonna do that well, to be honest. I still think it's gonna be a huge flop. We'll talk about it more next week whenever we get the full actual box office for overseas, but I don't think it's gonna be a huge hit. And like I said, this is mostly because they're screwing way too old. The marketing was terrible. I thought the trailers looked really bad. It didn't really look interesting, despite the fact that it played in front of every single Spider-Man No Way Home screening, at least that whenever I went to go see the movie, like the 3 times that I went to see it, Moonfall was always playing in front of it, like the trailer. Despite that, it didn't appeal to the viewers, and I think that's to be said for the movie having terrible marketing, and the bad reviews and the word of mouth is terrible. So definitely don't expect this movie to be a huge hit. If not, expect it to be probably one of the, if not the biggest flop of the year, because it's already really, really bad. The budget for this movie is super high. So honestly, it's really, really terrible. Ironically, Marvel with Spider-Man No Way Home had huge success this past weekend, this past weekend, the Spider-Man No Way Home only did 13%, which is just insane. Insane. I think it's in its 7th weekend. If not, it's 8th weekend. I can't remember straight up. But that is just insane that it only did 13%. Incredible. It earned $9.5 million domestically, which means that it was neck to neck with Moonfall's opening weekend, which is just insane, like I said. Meaning that the total box office domestically is now at $748.9 million, which means it's around $11 million away from Avatar's. Or if not, it's like $11.5 million away from Avatar, which means that this movie would definitely be Avatar's $760.5 million with these incredible holds, because these incredible holds are really, really incredible. Like 13% is just insane. And so it's definitely going to be Avatar's $760.5 million on February 20 to get 3rd place on the all-time domestic box office, which is just insane that it was able to do this in the middle of a pandemic. Spider-Man Home definitely did amazing. Overseas, the movie dipped just 26%, as well, again, showing great holds and great legs. So definitely amazing that the movie is dropping only this much, earning $15.6 million this past weekend overseas or internationally. This leaves it for a global total of $1.776 billion, which is just insane. Really high up. Like, that's really a lot of money. Like I said, I still think it's going to stay at number 6 all-time domestic, because it won't reach $2 billion unless it gets a Chinese release date. But it's still going really, really strong, and it's just incredible that this movie was able to get this far. And like I said, especially without a Chinese release date, it's just truly, truly incredible. And once again, like I said, it's skewing to a younger audience. The director really trashed Marvel. He should have been really thankful for bringing so much viewers back to theaters, because now look at the success that Spider-Man Home is having compared to his movie. Maybe if he wasn't so mean to fans with such big for movies like this, maybe he could have had a bigger success. Perhaps, maybe if he had trashed it, maybe if he had talked good stuff about it, maybe he could have gotten something here. I don't know, but it's just that goes to show you that you don't gotta be salty at other franchises for your movies flop. You just gotta be happy that other franchises are doing good. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, he definitely doesn't have a point with this Marvel thing. He's doing, if anything, worse movies than Marvel is typically doing, because he's doing disaster movies, which usually tend to have like really bad reputations. So I just don't think that his argument makes a lot of sense, and this proves it a lot with the box office money. I know box office and everything, but this just proves it. Audience scores is also a big thing. Spider-Man Home has an A+, Moonfall has a C+. Just complete different right there. So this goes to show you, don't try to show the movies. If you're gonna make a movie, like, just be nice. It's hard to ownership, and if a movie flops, it's okay, you can just try again. But the fact that he talked trash about Marvel, DC, and Star Wars, especially Marvel and Star Wars, which are doing so strong right now, and to some point even DC, Peacemaker right now is going really strong. Star Wars has the Book of Boba Fett, which is doing incredibly strong, and Spider-Man Home for Marvel. So the fact that he's talking trash about them all this time, and while they're trying new things, definitely is very sad, and definitely I think affected the box office. And if it was just a little bit, I think it definitely affected the box office, as well as the fact that the movie was just not that good and the word of mouth was terrible. I think that really lowered down Moonfall, and that just goes to show you how strong Spider-Man Home is. The fact that it was able to get all the fans on board, have great word of mouth, and it was just like this huge celebration. And I think that's what more movies need, and they need to acknowledge that before they start becoming huge flops. They had to skew young, and Jackass definitely learned that, and I'm definitely very happy for Jackass for learning that. Like, they definitely learned a lesson from this movie and from previous box office flops and hits, that younger is the way to go now, at least for the pandemic times, because all the moviegoers are less likely to go to theaters. So younger is the way to go, and I'm happy that Jackass was able to apply that, and Moonfall was a perfect example of when you don't apply that. So we have both sides of here, and I think that's super awesome. Alright, moving on to Scream 5, or just Scream, whatever you want to call it. And the movie dropped 35% this weekend, even with competition, showing that the past weekends haven't been because the movie hasn't had competition, but because the movie is actually generating interest, and it's actually holding really, really well. It's surprisingly, like, 35% is really incredible, especially when it comes to horror movies, which usually drop like 60% and everything. Especially as the weekends go on, they keep dropping more and more and more. So the fact that it's able to hold at 35% is incredible, like truly, truly incredible. This means that the movie got $4.7 million on its fourth weekend, which is, like I said, truly incredible. And the movie now has $68.9 million domestically. This makes the movie becoming the second highest grossing R-rated film of the pandemic, only behind Halloween Kills, which is standing at $92 million domestically. So I don't think it's going to reach Halloween Kills, but it's going to come really, really close, which is incredible for Scream. It's definitely a box office hit. At least Halloween Kills came out like during Halloween and everything, and the pandemic was definitely not as bad as it is now. Now it's starting to calm down, but it's still people are getting scared again because of Omicron. It's kind of calming down a little bit, but still, whenever the movie came out, it wasn't as strong. It was still pretty strong. So that's why I'm saying it's really impressive, and it's just impressive that it's the second highest R-rated movie of the pandemic. That's really good, and that's something super cool that Scream can definitely flex. It is expected to earn between $75 to $85 million domestically, which is amazing for a movie that has a budget of $25 million. That's just incredible. Like I said, lower budgets, reviving older franchises seems to be the way that Hollywood is probably going to keep going, because Jackass proved it that lower budget just to stay safe, and then you can have box office success if it's done right. And that's when we proved it again. $25 million budget, and it seems like it's going to between $75 to $85 million just domestically, which is just insane. Overseas, the movie has made $51 million more added to the domestic box office, which is incredible. This means that the movie has a total box office of $120.3 million. Like I said, this is really, really incredible whenever you consider that the budget was $25 million. So at least $100 million more than the budget, which is just truly incredible. There's definitely a reason why this movie got a Scream 6 already, which already got announced thanks to the massive success of this one, and we'll start filming this summer, which is just truly, truly incredible. If you want to check out more tips about it, go ahead and check out this video where I cover the whole January box office, and I do cover Scream a lot more in depth because it was the biggest release in January, and I'll talk more about Scream 6 and give you more details, so check out that video if you're interested. Okay, now we're on to a different movie, and that's going to be Sing 2. And Sing 2 is truly the Jumanji of the pandemic, only dropping 10.6% despite competition. That is just incredible. 10.6%. That is super incredible, like super strong. This means that the movie made $4.2 million this past weekend, almost the same as Scream. This movie has been out for like almost a whole month before Scream, which is just truly incredible. This means that the domestic total of the movie now stands at $139.6 million, which is just amazing. Internationally, the movie has made $152 million, which is just truly incredible. Like, again, it's just amazing. This means the total for the box office of the movie in general, internationally plus domestic, is at $291.3 million. That means it's definitely going to cross that $300 million mark, which is just insane for this movie. The highest animated movie of the pandemic and the highest family movie in general of the pandemic. So that's really good. That's really incredible. The highest PG movie of the pandemic. That's really good, really incredible. Like I said, and it's something like amazing. It's just, like I said, it keeps proving that Disney did the wrong decision with Turning Red. I think Turning Red should have gone to theaters at least for 30 days because these numbers show that the animated movies are definitely bringing back families to theaters, and they have really strong holds. They're doing so much money. So it was a mistake, I think, personally, that Disney moved Turning Red to Disney Plus only. Okay, moving on. We're gonna see what's going to go on with next weekend. And next weekend, we're gonna have two new releases. First of all, we're gonna have Dead on the Nile, which is full of big stars, and the reviews so far have been a little bit more towards the positive side, not super positive, but they have it a little more to the positive side. So we'll see how that movie does. I'm definitely very curious. It's had some marketing, not that much marketing, but I'm definitely very interested to see how it does. It has big stars. It's a sequel. Let's see what it does. I'm definitely very curious. And we're also gonna get Marry Me, which is a simultaneous release between Peacock and theaters. So that's another one that they weren't willing to risk for just theaters, which is surprising. That means the movie probably has some value to it, like a lot of value to it, if they didn't want to risk it, which is different to the Nile, which Disney couldn't care less. They're just gonna risk the Fox movies, which is why they're releasing it right now. Meanwhile, going back to Marry Me seems to be like the perfect movie for this weekend because it's gonna be Valentine's weekend, and it's definitely gonna be a movie that a bunch of couples are gonna go see this weekend. So let's see how it does. I think everything, it has star power. It has J-Lo. It has Owen Wilson, which is really hot off Loki right now, and has Latin singer Maluma. So let's see how the star power does. I don't know if it's gonna do super great domestically, but I'm definitely very curious. I think it's gonna be a fun experiment, and we'll see how this weekend. The reviews haven't come out yet until like Thursday, if I'm right. So we'll see what it goes on with this movie. I'm definitely curious, but yeah, I'm so just happy that we're getting new movie releases for sure. And so yeah, that was the box office breakdown of this past weekend, as well as a little bit of overview of what's gonna go on next weekend. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, then please make sure to leave a like. It would be very helpful. So please leave a like. Also subscribe for a lot of other content. Like I said, I do box office analysis all the time and everything. So subscribe for all the content so you can get the next box office breakdown next weekend, where I cover the drops and the new debuts of the weekend. And lastly, make sure to comment down below if you're going to see any movie this upcoming weekend, or if you're not going to see a movie, because it's Super Bowl weekend, so it might affect the movies for sure. So tell me, are you going to go see a movie this weekend, or just not going to see any movie this weekend because of the Super Bowl? I'm very curious. Tell me that down in the comments. And yeah, that will be it for this video. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And this is J Entertainment. Out.